Running fans, jumping fans, stalling fans, all around athletics fans. Welcome to Talking Novels. How is everybody doing out there on this Monday, November 24th, 2025, episode number 167, precursor to Turkey Day? Dave, what's going on, my man?
Not much, man. I just still trying to figure out everything that happened this weekend in terms of cross country. We had some exciting races. We had some controversy. I mean, we're going to get into it all, but I mean, it was just an absolutely electric weekend. I mean, we don't even have enough time to talk about everything that happened, but I'm looking forward to just getting into it and just kind of figuring it all out. It was crazy.
Absolutely. It was rather nuts, and we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to get through, so we're going to speed through this. Episode number 167. Whether you're watching from Facebook or wherever you are, Facebook, X, YouTube, all those good spots. Subscribe, do all the good stuff. Go on socials, subscribe to us there. I'm a little thrown off here, Dave, because Restream's messing with me. They decided to do a whole different layout, and I'm not a fan of it right now. I'm a grouchy old man. I like my old stuff. I don't like this.
It's time to step up, man.
I don't like this. I'm not used to it. I hate when they spring things on me like this. I'm a grouchy old man. But last week, we had a great show.
We did.
We had two reporters from njmedia.com, two young, passionate guys, Corey Annan and Bakari Tice. I don't know if I said Corey. Corey, I'm sorry if I butchered your last name again. But Bakari Tice on. We had fun. Talked about their past, their passion. One covers the girls. The other covers the guys. So we got a little bit of both for New Jersey. So
it's a great time to be a cross-country reporter in the state of New Jersey, man. There's so much going on team aspects. You have individual aspects. And wow, what a weekend for New Jersey. We will get into it soon.
And Dave, you're going to have a great time seeing all them, all the meets and stuff like that too, because now you can fully put names to faces and things like that. So that's going to be fun for you. But I want to get into the fun stuff because we have one of our most recurring guests. I think he might have the record now or he's tied with Jim Lambert. He is the first ever live streamed individual on our show.
Yes.
Head coach of Westfield High School, cross country, track and field, Chris Tafelski. What's going on, Coach?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Good. Living the dream, enjoying myself. I mean, like I said, you're with us all the time. We don't need to get your running story. We've heard it. It's a good one. I want to get right into the nitty gritty because the big announcement of the day is that we have a huge big thing here. Quincy has decided to choose the University of Maryland. So
he's staying home.
He is staying home. So first things first, gentlemen, what am I doing here? See, I'm all messed up with the screens here. Boom, I want to go down here. What is this doing? Here we go. That's what I want, because I want us on the screen. Here we go. Hi. All right. So we have Travis Miller's tweet over here. Olympic gold medalist Quincy Wilson announces he'll be going to the University of Maryland. He'll be joining Manchester's finest over there and head coach Andrew Valman. First off, Tafelski, why the hell is he going to college?
Great question. I'm not going to be one to second guess somebody's decision. I think NIL has changed the game in a way that keeps people in the college ranks.
Absolutely.
You could also make an argument that like a year or two in the collegiate system will do them well.
Sure.
Rushing to become a pro, some kids are earning better money in the collegiate ranks. So,
I think that's where it lies. If this was, even 10, 12 years ago, he's going pro because there's not that much money in the sport. So get it while you can. But you're right. With the NIL, he's going to be compensated fine. I don't think there's any
his name in the sport.
Yeah, I don't think there's
any in the high school scene. So.
Now, does that work for someone like Quincy, though? Quincy was going to get a really, really good pro deal. Quincy was going to probably get whichever company he wanted to throw a few million at him, right? Because there's very few athletes that truly get the $1 million amount in running. I think he's a guy. He already has a gold medal on his ledger. He came in. He's USATF.
I think he has every national record from like U12
exactly.
up in the 400.
Is it for me? And I'm looking at this, right? Because I know this is going to sound crazy. And I think Tafelski, I put this in a little group chat with you before. Is this kind of hedging your bets in case for whatever reason he doesn't pan out as the guy we think he's going to be, that he at least can go get a degree? Because let's be honest, most collegiate runners use their degrees.
Listen, I think
no pro scene. So is there potentially a buffer here of just in case the pressure gets too big or he for some reason has peaked, that he's trying to at least get an education?
I don't think that thought crossed his mind or his coach's mind one single bit. I don't think that's even a thought in the I mean, could it work out that way? Sure. That would be great. But do I think that was in any way part of the thought process? I don't know him or his coaches. I don't think so. I don't think in any way.
I think if you throw it back, I mean, Evan Jager, he went, out of high school and he enrolled in college and he got a degree and he was competing professionally. So those being pro and enrolling in college are not mutually exclusive. So
agreed.
That's an option that's available and not necessarily an option that you need to take immediately upon leaving high school.
That's true.
You could take a gap year and train professionally and then enroll in college a year or two later. When you have that non-championship year, that might be a year to start that. There's a million factors that go into a decision like this one. I'm sure his coaches and his family made what they think is the right one for them.
Sure. I imagine who he's being coached by matters, right? Because I mentioned Andrew Valman. Andrew Valman's resume is a fantastic one. As an athlete, he's a part of the world record 4x400 meter team. He was a specialist in the 400. He also was just a monster as a solo 400 meter runner as well. And his coaching resume is vast. Not only has he been the Maryland coach forever, he also was the Olympic track and field coach for, I think,
he was at Georgetown for
at least 2 runs. What was it, 2 or 3 runs? He was the Olympic coach. He was there for a little bit. So the pedigree of coaching, along with the pedigree of the athlete in the event that Quincy competes in, right? So I think there's got to be a little bit of that. Plus, it's staying home.
That's what I think.
Maryland's in the backyard. I think that might be the biggest factor, staying home.
Yeah, sure.
So do any of us think it's a mistake that he didn't go pro? Like, I know we're not second guessing, but just if you're coaching Quincy and you're saying like, hey, Quincy, this is what I believe you should do as a coach, because obviously he trusts his coach. There's going to be some give and take and some opinions there. If he asked you, would you say go to college or go pro right away?
I don't know if I'd feel qualified to answer that question for him. That
completely agree, Dave.
That's a choice that he's gonna have to make with his family. Like as a high school coach, like we can guide, we can help out, but I would never want to be the reason why any kid chose to go anywhere. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's had a typical high school experience. So it's kind of hard for me to speak on. I mean, Chris might have a different answer than me, but I wouldn't feel comfortable.
I think I know enough on this to know that I don't know nearly enough to make a decision. I mean, I'm sure can only imagine what the offers were. So for him to land on this, surely there were, I think whatever the kid is most comfortable with is the right move, because there's going to be huge life changes for this kid no matter what route you go. So I think in all that upheaval, whether that is going from high school to college or going from high school to professional, I mean, and in the 400, the college system and the professionals, not all that different, in terms of like the quality.
He can get used to like qualifying rounds. So like he can get used to like so many different things that aren't available at the high school level, which he's already been through, but now it'll be part of his like training process.
Yeah, I mean, you go all the way back to like, Alan Webb, and like, should Alan Webb have gone pro? And is the college system going to serve him well and all of that? And I think for a sprinter, I think the college system is a lot closer to what he's going to encounter professionally.
Now, is the factor too that, there were a few kids that did beat him this year, right? A few times, and talented kids that are also in that 45, high 44 range and things like that in high school that are also now going to be entering into college alongside him. Is that factor also that, like you said, Chris, like you said, Dave, in the college sprinting system, he's not going to come out and probably be the fastest kid in college right away. He's going to be one of them. He'll be at NCAAs, he'll qualify, he'll
Sure.
probably be in the final. But there's an absolute chance that on that day he runs a 44 high and someone runs a 44 low and beats him, right?
Sure.
It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. So I think that, it is interesting. It is interesting to see. I think the NIL definitely plays a big factor.
So what do you
because
guys?
now listen, the boosters can now do it legally, right? Where before we knew all these kids were getting paid anyway in college. Now they could do it openly, and now it actually is coming to the major track kids. So it is good.
So what do you guys think? Because I thought it was cool for a while. I thought it dragged on about him doing this, about him having it on YouTube. Like we see it in other sports all the time where the top kids get their chance to kind of show the world where they're going. I thought it was cool. I thought it dragged on about 35 minutes too long. But what do you guys think?
I hated it because it wasn't on our show. That's the only. I hated it because it wasn't here. And also, I think it is always incredibly dumb when it's supposed to be about the athlete and then somebody else goes and talks.
There were a lot of people who spoke and were like,
quiet. You had something to do with Quincy's success, but ultimately it was Quincy. He should have gotten up there. It should be a 10, 15-minute thing, especially if it's not sponsored and by a broadcast. Like if it's sponsored, okay, you got to do what you got to do for your sponsors. You got to play the game. They paid for a 30-minute slot. You got to fill 30, right? That's fine. But if it's just doing a friggin' YouTube live stream, get on there, sit them at a table, thank whoever the hell you want to thank, look at a hat, thank all the coaches, grab a hat, throw a few of them, put one on. It shouldn't be more than 15 minutes. Like,
agreed.
Some people just like to listen.
I like the idea of though,
like we do.
I'm glad that that track is starting to maybe come a little bit more modernized.
Quincy is coming there. We
I
need more
know.
Quincy's. Like if Cooper Lukenhouse decides to do this, sure. But how many people actually are going to be able to do this and draw more than 500 people that really like track?
Would get the attention of this,
Chris, what do you think?
I mean, I feel like the old man when I watch this stuff. I complain about the theatrics of it all, but
I'm with you.
But this is the way it is now. I mean, I keep telling myself you have to evolve or you're going extinct. So I got to evolve on this, I think, myself. But yeah, I mean, if it gets excitement for the sport, I'm all in on that. And he's a big name. He's certainly earned it. He's got some tremendous accomplishments. So if he gets his moment here, that's cool.
Hey, hopefully he gets a lot more moments, man. I want to see him with gold around his neck with the Team USA across his chest, outside of a relay. I want to see that solo. So I want to get to Coach Torchia, who we always love. Coach, we're going to get you on the show one of these times, not just with words. You're going to come on and you're going to talk to us. But Coach Torchia came in and said Sydney went to college for a year, and now there's way more money with NILs.
That's absolutely right.
Imagine what Sid would have gotten. Right, like Sid would have been ridiculously paid.
I think as a sprinter, it's absolutely fine. Like,
did they disclose what the NIL deal is? Because I know they've been disclosing a lot of them.
I haven't heard a thing.
Because he's getting one. Like, there's no way Quincy Wilson's going to get an NIL deal.
I mean,
I'm curious to see what his deal is and how it matches up. Because obviously, it's not like you have to only be in one of the big sports. Olivia Doon was the biggest NIL deal getter for her 4 years of college, right? And that's a gymnastics. There's a lot of individuals. So I think someone like Quincy should probably get a pretty big NIL deal. So
I don't think he's going to be hurting. So, you know what? Kudos to Quincy. Kudos to Edward Evolve. You had an amazing high school career. Let's hope that he can just keep it going and just, be that next person that, we all think that he could be. But I don't know. I just feel like there's just so much pressure, but he's had pressure on him for like 3-4 years now. So I don't know.
So I think to put it in a bow, congrats to Quincy Wilson. Congrats to Coach Valman and Maryland track and field. I think that it's going to be really cool to, at least for the year, maybe 2, see him with the M on his chest. And
he's a Big Ten guy now.
And Maryland's in the Big Ten or the ACC?
They are.
They're Big Ten right now? I thought they were ACC.
Maybe they're ACC. I don't know.
I always
can't
thought
tell anymore.
Maryland was ACC, but I don't know anymore. All the conference changes. Who the hell knows?
I think they're Big Ten.
Yeah, they're Big Ten. Rutgers playing football.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I don't know anymore, man. It's all confusing.
You
Anyway,
mean the Big 20?
the Big it's the Big Ten, the SEC, and everybody else. That's all it is in all the sports right now. But anyway, so we are going to shift gears because Coach Tafelski, we're going to put the spotlight on you. I want to stop doing this. Get this out of here. Go.
So, Chris, you mentioned earlier that this was the first year in a long time that you guys didn't go to the regional race. What kind of went into that, and do you regret your choice, or do you think that was the best for your team? And how did your kids take that? Because you've built such a great tradition and such great program there that it's kind of like I would imagine that that's one of the expectations going into every year. So how did your whole season kind of play out, and did you learn anything from how everything kind of transpired?
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack there, but yeah, I mean,
Dave likes to put all the questions in one bulk. He doesn't spread it out.
that was an essay question, Dave. So,
we're going to grade you out of 800 on this answer.
Do I regret the decision? No, not at all. And it's hard. It was a difficult call because, like you said, going to the regionals is something that our kids look forward to every year.
Yeah.
The kids, they enjoy it for a lot of reasons. They enjoy it for the social aspect that, we go to camp in Vermont and they see kids at the meet that they haven't seen since the summer. Yeah. They enjoy designing singlets and stuff like that.
Getting the swag that comes with going to any of these events.
There's the merch. There's all that stuff. But the regional race is for if you have momentum and if it makes sense to extend your season, and that's you can attach some positive outcomes or positive reasons for delaying the start of the indoor season, then it's a fine thing to do. There have been some years where I was kind of lukewarm on doing it, but I knew the kids really look forward to it. And I'm like, yeah, there's no harm in doing this. We're doing fine. If you're the sixth place team at the MOC, like you're not having any pipe dreams of making NXN, so you're doing it to get another meet and maybe see how you stack up. Maybe you got some young people that can learn from the experience, but going there and getting buried isn't necessarily meaningful. That what are you really gaining as a competitor from that experience? So, there have been years where I was kind of like, yeah, I could go either way on this, but the kids are really excited about it, so we'll do it. But this year we were really hurting for momentum, and I think we had kind of a hard time getting momentum. We had a good first month of the season, I would say, through the shore. We did well. We struggled a little bit in our locally against UC. We did fine, I thought, but I think that competitively, I don't think we were. I don't think we were confident enough going into that. And then, sectionals, Ridge turned out they really hats off to the kids at Ridge and their coaches, because they developed really well over the course of the season. So, and then unfortunately, we just couldn't really get some good momentum going. And then we had a flu go through the team, unfortunately, the week of the group meeting. So 2 kids didn't run at all. The first 2 kids who got sick, they recovered enough to actually race, but they were far from 100%. So you combine those factors of the lack of momentum and the frustration that comes with that, and then the illness was kind of like the finishing move for us. So, it was, I think when I announced it to the kids, they were very upset, and I get it. I knew that it was I dreaded it, absolutely dreaded talking to them about it. But I think a couple of days went by, a week went by, and the kids were like, I'd bump into them in the hallways at school and stuff like that. And you're like, you know what, this is the right thing. We need to get well. We need to, this is a group that's going to need an earlier start to the winter. I think they need race reps So I think that the earlier start to the winter will serve them well. So it's a coaching decision on like a macro level, like zoom out and look at the entire year. Don't just look at like what we want in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, there's a lot that went into it, but getting healthy, a lot of our kids in the JV ranks were kind of banged up too. So there were a lot of things that went into that decision.
And the thing that's interesting with that is, like we've mentioned, like, we mentioned on the show plenty of times, the culture that you've been able to create at a public school to keep you guys so competitive is incredible what you've been able to do, right? Because it's very difficult to do what you do, to do what Haddonfield does, to do what Ridge does, to do what Cherokee does, where you guys just seem to reload. And your down years are a lot of other coaches' best years, seasons, of their existence, right? So there's a value to that. There's also always the risk of doing what you did and not just going to that national race just because, right? Because that's what we do. And you really need to know the culture you built, know the athletes that you have there, that you can put this to them and they're going to look at it as a challenge and not as a slight on them, right? Not as a dig onto what they were unable to do, but the fact that it's more of a, hey, we know where we were, we know the situation, what it was, and let's regroup, let's get with the sprinters, let's get with the throwers, and now let's have a great indoor and a great outdoor. So were those all factors that came into your mind I guess the question is, was there ever a doubt in the way this group was going to handle that information?
No, and they were going to be disappointed. Yeah. There's no doubt that was,
and they should be.
Yeah, and that's fine, but it is kind of our role as coaches to be, kind of the adults in the room with perspective, right? Kids don't have the perspective that we have as coaches who have been doing this for a long time, and so like to be able to zoom out and say like, look, this is what we've done. If we do this and we prolong this, we delay the start of the indoor season. Also, looking ahead to our indoor season, we have the longest winter break coming up that I think we've ever had, which is
longest
always
possible. We go back to January 5th.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, same.
13 days.
So, you look at that, winter is always like punctuated by the break. There's always going to be illnesses that go through the team. You got midterm exams. There's holiday weekends through there. So it's very difficult to establish a rhythm. And I think that's what we need is to do. Just get back to like, let's get back to some fundamentals. Let's get back together and build again. One of the ongoing conversations we've had with the kids is like, yeah, we didn't get what we wanted this season. That doesn't mean we're not going to get it eventually. It just means that we're not getting it right now. And, the beauty of what we do is it's not football or soccer where we got to wait until next summer to get going again. We're going to get going again soon. And this is a group of kids that their preparation over the summer was probably the best of any team we've ever had. From top to bottom on the team, not just like our varsity, our kids who are expecting to be varsity, competing for the varsity, but throughout all the ranks of the team, this was probably the best summer that Westfield cross country team ever did. And the training that the kids did was terrific as well. Their body of work, in terms of their preparation was tremendous. So the money's in the bank. We just didn't get the opportunity to capitalize on it. But now it's a matter of kind of finding that confidence that like we are those guys who did that work, and we still have a bright future ahead of us.
Yeah, I mean, these kids might look back and be, hey, you know what? That cross-country season was the best thing that ever happened to us in so many ways, because like they might see it as a failure, but by you telling them those things, like it's not a failure. It's a great stepping stone into what a better future is going to actually be.
And we had a number of team meetings in the last couple of weeks. The kids initiated a couple of team meetings. They said, can we talk about this? Not on the regionals thing, but just can we talk about the season and stuff like that? And so we got the top 10 or so guys on the team together.
Yeah.
They wrote up some stuff, and then they took the lead into this afternoon. We had a distance team meeting of all the returning kids, and those 10 kids ran the meeting. And they
Nice.
talked about like, these are the things that we did really well. These are the things that we kind of feel like we're frustrated by that are getting in our way. And we have an opportunity to turn the page and improve upon what we've been doing, so that we're more likely to get the outcomes that we're hoping for, that we're working for. So I give the kids a lot of credit for taking the initiative on like rallying each other. They sat down, they wrote up some stuff, they presented it to the whole team. And it has to be an internal thing from them.
Yes,
And
100%.
so to see these kids kind of talk internally, and there were some uncomfortable moments in that where they were kind of calling each other out a little bit, and
Which is good. You want that.
and helping
Healthy.
kids learn how to do that
Yes.
is really important. If it, I think I learned a lot this season about things that had just kind of come to some of our kids naturally. I kind of stopped teaching, I think. And I needed to be more deliberate about
there is a
certain
difficulty
things.
because you did have some guys that just blitzed it, right? Like you had Avery, you had Ryan, and you had a lot of top heavy success, and that really helped drive a lot of kids. Because when those two guys are doing workouts with everybody else, it's real easy to have some quality workouts, right? And pushing and really going hard. And, it's unintentional, right? But there's sometimes where you look and you're like, we're rolling here. And then sometimes here doesn't get as much love as necessary. It's kind of what happens. And it's a natural human thing. I think all coaches will say it's tough to really do the full thing, especially when you're so top heavy. So there's some beauty in that. The best coaches like you and all the coaches we've had on here always take the time to reflect and look and go, what didn't I do well? Not what went well last year. What did I lack in that, can make me better as a coach too? Because that's what all the best coaches do. They don't only look at how well they did and their top guys or top girls. They look at, okay, who faltered more than I thought that they should have, and what could I have done better to make them better as well? So there's always that self-reflection at the end of every season, right?
Mm. It's important in that process too, that you not just nitpick.
Yep.
You can always, like, after every race, you're always going to be able to come up with a handful of things, no matter how well it went. You're always going to be able to come up with something you could have done differently, right? But like, it is important with the group and with ourselves too. You got to give yourselves credit for the things you're doing right. Because there's a lot of them in there. You can't control everything. Can't control illness. You can't.
The course condition, the weather, all those types of things are big factors in that.
You do need to be like, all right, like, we did these things the right way. These things kind of got in our way. What are the things that every single guy in this room, all 60 kids in this room,
which is so freaking cool to say,
has
60
a hand in this.
kids? Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's a part of a success. 60 kids coming into a room to try have one goal. That is a huge success right there in itself.
Yeah, but it's hard. The numbers are great. And they're also it's really difficult because it's hard to make every kid feel like his actions matter.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of the meeting that the kids had today was about. That exact thing was like, this is not just like the top 15 guys on the team. It's not just their responsibility. It's really like the way we talk to each other at practice, the vibe at practice, all that. Every single person in the room has a hand in how that feels and how that goes. And that sets us up for success, or it gets in our way.
How much are your seniors and juniors taking that upon themselves? And how much did you see them start to kind of that at this meeting where, like you said, they're realizing that they're the upperclassmen and they know what Coach Tafelski expects. They know what the culture should be, what they've experienced, and how much it is on them. And now looking at those sophomores that in a short year will be those juniors, right? Like, so how much was it for the team looking at it going, we need to also be the extension of Coach Tafelski? And like you said, bring everybody up, work together, be one team.
Yeah. I mean, some of the most like fulfilling moments in those meetings is when some kid who never speaks up says something in front of the group, and we heard from some kids today where I was like, wow, all right. Like, this is like, you're watching kids mature. You're watching them develop. And even like, there are a couple of kids who spoke up and like everybody in the room like turns and is like,
yeah,
oh, look at this guy speaking up, because the group is so big, it's really easy to just take a backseat.
sure.
And the potential future leaders, right? You see those kids popping up being brave, and it's like, okay, there might be a leadership role for you at some point.
Yeah. I mean, when you're a 10th grader,
yeah, hell yeah.
You're speaking up in that room. Like,
and you're not a top 15 guy, but you're saying something, like, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. And when the mid ranks of the team are on board, then you're rolling.
Yes.
Right. They're the soul of the team.
Yeah, because they can go either way.
Your own peril.
Yep. Well, they can go either way. They can say, well, I'm not part of this top crew, so I don't have to try as hard, or they can latch on and try to become part of that whole group. Yeah.
It's so cool when you have, okay, maybe our top 7 are pretty locked and they're battling a little, but it's like, what does 8 through 20 look like, right? Are they going to go to war to see who will be that top 15? What, like, that's a good problem to have. But again, the leadership is massive there. So now I want to open up to indoor, because now opens up the distance kids had their say in XC, but now the sprinters are here, the jumpers are here, the throwers are here. And another good thing that you've done is you and the rest of the staff over there have truly established a team that expects to always be competitive at the county, conference, sectional level. So as this opens up to indoor, what are the expectations? How hungry are the distance kids to come in? Kind of, I guess, not, I mean, you guys, it's a down year for Westfield, but it wasn't a bad year at all. Like, you look at it, like, you guys still had a hell of a year, but it's like a Westfield down year is not everyone else's. But are they hungry to come in and try to anchor this team? What are we expecting from the sprinters, throwers, jumpers? How hungry is this Westfield team to just come in and continue to kick the doors in and keep that tradition rolling?
I think they're eager to get back to it. I think before we worry about for me anyway, before I worry about the competitive piece, I want to see us follow through on the things that we just talked about. Yep. We have a similar meeting with our sprinters tomorrow. It's less of like taking stock of the fall and more about like what we want to do.
Sure.
We don't have that many seniors. This senior class is like one of the smallest ones we've had. And I think that might be the result of the fact that they were freshmen coming out of COVID. So like we have a pretty small senior group. We have a large junior and sophomore group. And we have a lot of kids who are coming out who have never done track before. So we want their first taste of the team to be like, this is legit. We need to make sure that we send the right message to new people. Because the vibe of the team, right, is unspoken. It's just in how we carry ourselves and being deliberate about the way we carry ourselves and the way we talk to each other and things like that. So my focus in the first month, will be talk is great, but it's only talk. How well are we executing? How well are we doing the things that we say we want to do? And I haven't had this conversation with the group yet, but that'll be something that like a week in, I'm going to round up that like leadership core and be like, where are we at on this? How's this going? What issues are we running into? What progress are we making or whatever? And then we just keep checking back in, right? And like make it a very deliberate process where we are carving out time because it matters to check in on how this is going, because we can't worry about competition until we get this done. Sure. Right? Once we get that stuff done, the conversation that we had today as a large group had nothing to do with workouts, had nothing like that stuff's all awesome. These kids are doing a terrific job preparing.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of it is in the execution and competition, attention to non-running things. You know, kids come because they want to run. No one joins the trekking because they want to stretch.
But they want to eat better,
or do the calisthenics, or
get better sleep, or
okay. But like that is the deal, right? Sure. If you want to make good on what you're capable of, like that is the deal. So you know, we'll see. We've made some good first steps. For me, the competitive part will come later if we lay the foundation the right way. So that's what I'm going to be looking for.
Perfectly
My
said.
staff is going to be looking for over the first 3 to 5 weeks.
And I think if you're a young coach and you're someone who is trying to get those good results, right? Because obviously, with a lot of coaches and a lot of programs, you got to have results if you want to keep your job. That's just the unfortunate thing. Results need to be there. But I think if you're a younger coach, if you're someone who's trying to figure out what to do first, what Coach Tafelski said is massive, because you have to lay that foundation first. Because your talented kids are gonna go out and they're gonna be talented, and you're gonna coach them up and things like that, and that's fine. But what are the rest of your kids doing? What is the depth of your team? Are you going to be able to not only rely on 6 kids to go get a ton of points? Are you going to have kids, that maybe aren't your top guys or girls, be able to fully fill in those spots and get points here and there all the time? And what Coach Stefelski was saying, I think, is huge, and every program should follow, right?
Sure.
You build that foundation first. You expect them to do the little things first. Focus on those things. Are they doing the calisthenics? Are they doing good in the classroom? Are they breaking up with their boyfriends or girlfriends before season so there's no distractions? No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But are you, if you're a sprinter, thrower, jumper, are you taking the weight room seriously in the proper way, right? All those types of things are big, because you don't want someone going in there and bulking when they're supposed to be a sprinter, right? There's a right way. There is, functional lifts and things that you should be doing and taking seriously. So I think that's very important, what Coach Stefelski is saying. Get those foundational things right. Yeah. As a coach, you're going to develop your program, you're going to develop your workouts, but that's going to be there. But the foundation needs to be strong. And I think that's why you guys at Westfield have built such a culture, because you focus in parts on where things should be. And there's a plan there. And the kids know the plans. Your older kids at this point understand what the plan should be, and it's just about executing. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying there, Coach Stefelski, and I think it's awesome.
So, Chris, you were at Bowdoin, right, on Saturday?
I was at the very end of the meet. I was there yet.
So, what was the vibe like, and how impressed were you with what you saw from our other teams here in the state? Because I was beyond impressed with what CBA did, with what Blair did. Obviously, beating Catholic wins, Haddonfield. So, what was your kind of take from everything that kind of transpired over at Nike this weekend?
I mean, I was walking down, the parking lot's up top. I was walking down during the boys' championship race, so I watched them come down the hill, because we were stopped. You can't go down. And so I'm watching them come through, and I'm like, "Yo, Jersey's rolling. This is awesome!" Like both teams look terrific. I'm psyched for Haddonfield, and I'm, I try not to go here this much, but I'm gonna give them props as the public school for getting it done. I mean, it's hard to do. It's hard to do also, when, I'm not gonna put any words in the mouth of Sean or CBA, but NXN is part of the conversation in June for a team like CBA.
There's expectations, right? Obviously.
And so, they have the people on an annual basis. I mean, they've been there so many times. They've won one.
They have their own hotel room there permanently.
So for a team where you've got a group of kids and you've got a shot, and you're not going to have that shot next year. You didn't have that shot last year. It's really, really hard. I
can't imagine.
The hopes and dreams of the kids are so high.
So you can speak to that as a public school coach that's going into a situation like this. You've had these high level teams that are really looking to make dents, get to NXN as a bona fide team, right? What, as a coach, what is the pressure like on you to try and, now I'm not just coaching out a year, right? I'm mapping out a meet and trying to make sure my athletes are peaking at the right time. You're always trying to do that, but it's a little different when you're looking and going, God, this team can get to NXN. Now I got to be a little more careful. I have to be a little smarter with how I'm asking my athletes to do things, right? So as a coach, what goes into now strategizing for that season? Because it obviously changes because you're trying to extend your season by 2 meets now, more than normal.
Yeah, so the scheduling is a thing. I mean, when you have a team like that, we delayed the start of the season 2 years ago to basically shift everything by a couple of weeks. But I think a lot of it is more managing the kids and their expectations, and because they feel that sense of urgency, and they don't have the experience of having done it. I mean, like
No.
if you look at how making NXN has been handed down from year to year within the CBA team, that this is what they do. It's what they do. And, of course, you still have to make it, and you have to get your people healthy to the starting line and prepared and all of that. But you have that internal institutional knowledge within the kids.
You've had some sophomores that have gone and been on a team.
Kids who've been there multiple times, things like that. And so I would imagine, I've never been in this situation. Bring Sean on and see what he has to say. But I think that to me I would imagine it feels that would turn down some of the heat on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas kids who feel like this is our one and only shot to do this.
Right.
I think that raises the stakes. And so keeping them loose and just focused on what they're doing every day, with the faith that it's going to play out if they just stay in the day-to-day and do their part.
Yeah.
That was a big challenge for me 2 years ago.
And just I mean, all of that is amazing, but just how they performed was just sensational. I mean, it was, I mean, I was blown away. I'm like, because if you know that the course, you have to get hard, and they didn't get out probably as well as they wanted to, but they just kept working. But they didn't make one quick move. That they were smart. Everybody ran great. I mean, to score 33 points is
it's stupid.
I mean,
your fifth guy got 12th. What the hell? That's insane.
It's I mean, Chris said it all.
What was it 3, 4, 7, 9, and 12? I think that's.
But I mean, it's been an absolute masterclass so far of coaching, and everyone talked about how great the team was last year, and they absolutely were. But I just feel that this team just has, and
this is a deeper team.
Kudos to them in their post race interview. Just you could tell how much that they want to run for Alex Kemp and for everything that happened there. And you could just tell that's a huge motivation for them. And they're doing an absolute amazing job honoring him. And just the way that they come together, just their post race interview, kind of like Chris said, just the way that they are together, just how united they are together. And the fact that I think it was Wyatt said, we are together every day. We don't miss runs. Just the fact that they do it all for themselves and for each other. It's absolutely great. And, I mean, people love to not like them for whatever reason, but I have nothing but absolute respect for what Sean and they are doing. It's absolutely amazing every year. It can't be easy. It can't be easy having that pressure every single year.
I just think there's levels, right? And I think, what Chris was saying about being the public school, that this is a 1 in every 25, 30 year opportunity, right? You can have a pedigree. You could be a great public school year after year, but the chance of actually getting to NXN as a team is rare. So there's that type of pressure, right? As the coach, keeping your kids loose and trying to make sure these kids don't press. But I also think, there is the type of pressure that Sean, with the expectations to make NXN and potentially win it every year, there's different types of pressure, right? Because while it's almost a given that they're going to make it as a team, okay, is this going to be the team that doesn't win it? Is this going to be a team that doesn't win top 5? How are we going to be remembered, right? So there's levels, right? I think there's levels to it all. There's different levels to coaching, and we all have our own challenges. And I think I would love to do another oval table with our awesome high school coaches, and we can maybe talk about the difference in how you prepare your teams differently, right? And I'm pretty sure Sean will be down to come back on and talk about the difference in the preparation of expectation levels, right? And I think that could be a really good and fun conversation. I think it's everywhere, right? I came from Marist, and I know Coach Colezo and Coach Paul Harris will tell you it's probably really different in terms of how they're looking at an XC season as opposed to what the Jeet's doing over in BYU, right? There's just very different levels of expectation. Yeah. So it's awesome for everyone. I'm happy Haddonfield's going to be there. They're going to be competing. my ass is going to be rooting for CBA to win it all. I want to see, Nat and Schmidt sit there and put their stamp on it and let everyone know that, yeah, just because Joe's not here doesn't mean that we're also not a great team, right? So I'm excited for all of them. I just, like Chris said, watching New Jersey just roll on both the men's and women's side.
That's what I was going to do next. I mean,
friggin' fantastic. So let's talk about first. We'll give Blair her flowers, but I want to talk about Paige. Dave, Paige gave it her all, Chris, right? Paige gave it her all. She's got to be tired, man. She has got to be tired.
I don't know.
Chris, what do you think about Paige, her performance, and how that went down?
I think that I know enough to know that I don't know enough to say anything on
That's
this.
true.
That's
true.
I think being someone on that level, and I say this as someone who has never coached anyone who's on this level.
Yeah.
But the amount of attention that these kids get, everything is public, and the sport for kids on this level is so much harder than it ever was when we were competing, and none of us were on that level. So I mean, she doesn't owe an explanation to anybody.
No,
so and like maybe she
real quick,
had a bad day because she's a human being. I mean, or maybe she gave it her 100%. All, and that's what it was. I mean,
I think
maybe she was sick. I mean, look at we all do it. She, we're all people. So like I don't know. I mean, I struggle to I wonder a lot, like how hard it must be to be a kid who's that.
Oh my goodness.
And so I know that I don't know.
I think that we could draw a lot of correlations to Joe Barrett's season last year for CBA and to Paige's this year, where they both are coming in really high expectation, both incredibly good runners. And as a coach, even though Coach McCabe has coached high level athletes before, right? This caliber level athletes where they're looking at national caliber stuff. Obviously, Sean has done it there. But how do you not give these individuals every opportunity to showcase themselves on a national level, right? So I think it's difficult. I think the pressure's there. And I think also Blair is just friggin' amazing too. So when you're trying to keep pace with someone like Blair, it's hard. It's hard. Paige is an incredible runner. She has range that we rarely see from any athlete, going from the 400, where she's probably like a 55, 54 second girl. I think she's done a relay before, easily sub 60, 201, 433. Like, the range is incredible with what Paige is able to do. And Bowden can sometimes eat you. And I think sometimes that happens too. That second mile is friggin' brutal. And some days, like Chris said, we're human. Some days you have it, some days you don't. And if not having it means, what did she get? 10th in the region? What is it? 12th?
12th, I think, yeah.
Okay, cool. If 12th in the region is not having it, I'll take that every day. Like, I'm cool with that. That's still a really, really good run.
She's amazing. She's amazing. But but I also agree with you. Like, going out with Blair, Blair ran 17 flat, second fastest time ever on that course. I mean, it was absolute
Bowden,
juggernaut of a race. It was an absolute, you'd have to give her credit. She's absolutely unreal. I
mean, and what Coach Duncan is doing, we said it before, over at Lawrenceville, Coach Duncan's doing a fantastic job with her. And picking his spots, because I know one of the questions for us is she hasn't raced much, right? She's ran a few races, but Bowden is a tough course to sit there and now expect her to go do it. And we all just need to kind of shut up and just let Blair do Blair, because it works, man.
Yep.
She's good. I am beyond excited to see what she does at nationals.
Absolutely.
And to see what she does, NXN and Brooks and stuff like that. And it wouldn't be surprised if we see Blair going out and winning these. I wouldn't be. I mean, she's right up there with the top women in the country, so it could be a ton of fun. So, Tafelski, what do you think? Do we think we see Blair getting a national title here?
I'm a little out of my league on the girls' end of things, but I would say that the difference between there is a stark difference between, like, Paige on her side running as a member of a very high performing team.
Yes.
Where she's working with her team, they've done some exceptional things over the course of the season.
Absolutely.
They've got high hopes for NXN. And so like she's, I saw the last K of the girls' race, and she was doing everything she could to serve her team.
Yep.
And like
Absolutely.
that,
That's what you want to do.
like
There was no give up. There was no quit.
Yep. You're an individual, and you're an individual, and it's hard, right? Going back to how public that is. You've won that race 2 years in a row, and like the burden that the weight that a kid like that has to carry around is hard. But in the end, like she wasn't having the race that she wanted, but she was still working super hard for her team. Right. 100%. And like, credit to her. And like there's also the added schedule of being on a high performing team as opposed to being like, a solo act on your, I mean, she's not the only person on her team, of course, right? But they don't have that caliber squad. So, you can be more selective with your races, and being in the prep league, you can be more selective with your races. So in some respects, being a really, really high performing individual on a high performing team works against the individual.
100%.
Yeah. So,
I'm sure
they're coming from very different places.
Yeah.
Intersect at that meet.
And Paige's team won, and that's probably all that matters.
Right.
Yep, and she was a big part of that, right? Obviously, a 12th place finish at the region is a huge part of getting a win, and
every member is a huge part.
And honestly, UC is expected to be competitive at nationals, right? That team is a very deep team, and they're gonna be a factor in the team race there, 100%. So, let's stick to the high school route because I want to talk about Leah Starkey, because Leah Starkey, Meet a Champions champion, 17-15. Did not get a golden ticket to Brooks. Blair Bartlett got one. Paige Shepard got one. Unfair to Paige, but Leah did beat Paige at Mox, right? And it was by 2 seconds and not a lot, but I thought that would have been enough to earn Leah a golden ticket. Do we think it was the right decision for Brooks to not give Leah Starkey a golden ticket in this situation? Dave, you can go first.
I don't know. I don't know what the criteria is. I don't think it matters. I think it was, we were talking earlier, I forget who said it, but the fact that Paige is on a top team probably meant that Brooks needed to give her a little more incentive because she was already going to NXN for
it was Chris. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why or who or what, but they are entitled to whatever they want to do. I mean, would I like to get her one? Sure. But maybe she wants to run a jersey. I don't know.
So real quick, Chris, I'll let you get in. I'm not going to fence in on this. It was a terrible decision. Okay. What is the criteria if a girl that runs 17-15 at Holmdel Park has a well under 17-minute PR, doesn't qualify as a automatic entry to your national race? What is the criteria to getting in there then? That's just my question. Do you have one? Besides, let's make a splash. And that's what it seems. It's a splash thing.
Sure.
Talent-wise, merit-wise, Leah Starkey absolutely deserves to be there. So I'm not fence-sitting. It's stupid that she didn't get it. Period. That's my opinion. It's dumb. So go ahead, Chris. You can educate me now because you're smarter than I am.
I think their mission is to get as many of the top people in the country on their starting line. And so I think these golden tickets are a business decision to get kids who would go to NXN and skip Brooks to come to Brooks. And so, you get to the end of the season and it's really long. So you're going to run a Nike region and a Nike Nationals and a Brooks region and a Brooks Nationals after you've done your full schedule. Like, no, it's very, very few people are going to do that. Absolutely. They might use, a lot of people use the Foot Locker as like plan B if NXN didn't work out. Yeah. Or some people skipped Nike regionals altogether and went straight there. But typically those are people who are not on high performing teams. So if you're gonna give out those golden tickets, you give them out to people who are gonna go to NXN.
And I think that makes sense.
That's how you get those NXN kids who would probably just finish their season at NXN, and you get them on your starting line, and that raises the credibility that your race has. I mean, they're in the shadow of NXN, right? You're up against Nike.
They're a juggernaut.
Operations on Earth, right? So how are they gonna get more people on their starting line? Okay, well, we'll bait some people with golden tickets who probably would never come to us anyway. It's a business decision. I'm really cynical on that. I think.
It makes sense that it would be a business decision. Should they put an open standard for the men's and women? Should they put you have to reach, like how there's an A standard for the World War, it used to be, I guess it's not anymore, but should there be, you need to at least have this threshold and maybe have a few like translated thresholds, right? Because obviously one course is different than other courses. So should there be thresholds that they put out there?
I don't know how you would do that because every course is so different.
Well, you're talking about Brooks, 10 people nationwide getting these.
Brooks, the top courses around the country. You can kind of qualify where all of them run. Like you have that type of.
This is the $1 million conversation every cross country season. How does this course 100%. Compare to that course? And the conversation continues because there is no satisfying answer to any of these questions.
Well, we know in the Northeast that it is Holmdel's the hardest, and Bowdoin's right up there, and Van Cortland's the most legendary, and we don't care anything about in the West. They can go kick rocks, even though California's tradition is ridiculously good. But still, they can kick rocks, right? In every other state, we can be pompous here in the Northeast, and that works for us very well. Coach Nalvin over here.
Oh, now
the street in the house. Don't get anyone in trouble. Do not tell any stories, Nalvin. Don't tell any of them.
There's only stories of us going for long runs and just having wonderful times.
And you guys just got really, 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 really hooked up on ice cream. That's it. That's all you guys did in college. Nothing more. But
so we also had the NCAA meet this.
Well, no, real quick. I just want to get to this. Tafelski, is it a good or a bad thing to have multiple quote unquote nationals? Because I'm going to say when you have two nationals, it's like having two starting quarterbacks. You have zero, right? Because there really isn't a national champion. If you have two nationals, is there a national champion?
So is it a good thing? They are different. They're supposed to be two different meets. One's supposed to be more individual based and one's supposed to be more team based.
I think team wise, there's one. Yeah. So, individually, it's unsatisfying. It would be better if there was one. There's never going to be one. We're never going to get these companies to get along, right? It's just never going to happen, unfortunately. So, does it add to the intrigue? Sure. But, at least team-wise, they're one. And that to me is good enough.
See, I'm happy that you're satisfied. As long as we can have Tafelski satisfied with it, then we're in good shape. Even though he's not a fan of the golden tickets, which after Leah getting snubbed and my Jersey pride getting hurt, I hate them now too. You're not Willy Wonka, Brooks.
Tickets. I just like 50.
Can you rename them though?
I think 50 people on that starting line is better than 40. 40 seems like a really small cross country race. I don't think it needs to be that small.
That's
true. I don't think it needs to be that exclusive, but that's been their call forever too. So
yes, that's true. Hey, but you know what though? What we have heard, which is different, is Dave, how many, especially the young ladies, have we heard? It was my goal to go to Foot Lockers. Like it was a goal to get to Foot Lockers and represent your region. So there is that side of it that I think the exclusivity kind of brings that, right? Where they achieve their goal of getting to Foot Lockers, which is now Brooks. So it's like, there is that we've heard from countless girls that
to me, it's just a whole different mind frame. Like there's a whole team aspect and it's just a different mind frame, I suppose. Yeah. Like it's up to where each individual is at that time and what they choose to do,
All right.
I don't know.
So now, Dave, now we can move on to college.
All right. Good.
What do you got?
No, I'm just saying, I was most alarmed, I thought, by the lack of American-born runners in the top 30.
So let's actually get to that because we have some drama in the world of collegiate cross country.
We do.
Which is very different than drama everywhere else. But let's do it here, baby, because we have some coaches talking mess to each other.
We do.
So, boom. All right. So we have from DieStat right here. I'll read it real quick. Let me make it a tad bigger for everyone so we can all read this. So DieStat has at Friday's NCAA pre-meet press conference, head coach for Oklahoma State, Dave Smith, shared his thoughts after being asked about Ed Eyestone's international recruitment comments from an article in Deseret, which we'll get to those in a second. Let's read this as the post. His quote is, "If someone doesn't like a rule or doesn't like the situation in the NCAA, don't bitch about it. Go change it, get involved. Otherwise, shut up and coach your team. So they also shared what Eystone said in the article. His comment was, if you make a stink about it, someone will say you're racist, but I'd take a Kenyan recruit if he was born in the US. Actually, we're currently recruiting one. Some coaches have decided to take a shortcut by taking foreign talent. Many are older and developed. I always felt I'd be embarrassed to have 7 foreigners on the team. The NCAA is definitely the way we develop talent in this country. And before we get to that, Matty Centro jumped in and chimed in about Dave Smith. And he says, ain't no way this is the same guy who tried to petition me out of an NCAA final due to an NCAA rule qualifying me. Dave Smith is one funny dude. Anyone know if the after party is in or Stillwater? So let's rock and roll with this. Coach Tafelski, how do you feel about foreign-born runners? Should you have 7 foreign-born guys in your top 7? Give me your overall first perspective on this.
I think this is the natural step that NIL was going to do. That if you have this is the opportunity for people to earn a living competing in collegiate cross country.
Yep.
People are going to pursue it. The way that's happening, we've talked about the effects of NIL and the portal and all that stuff on college sports.
And I think we've talked about that before with you the last time we had you on the show.
Yeah,
what it was going to be and things like that.
And nothing about it has changed. And I think this is the way it's going to be. I mean, I think there's an argument here, I think, between there's the letter of the rules and there's the spirit of the rules. And I think that, is Smith correct that he's not violating any rules? Yeah. Is there a spirit of the rule? I think what's more problematic for me is the age of the athletes and their accomplishments, many of them internationally, prior to being college freshmen at age 26, 27, 28. That to me is a trickier thing. There have been international athletes in the NCAA forever.
Yeah, 100%.
And the fact that there are more opportunities for them now, I think then the next logical step is that there will be more of them competing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything about that that's shocking. But it is, in my opinion, and I don't think this is really controversial, not a fair fight if you've got a 27-year-old with a 60
against a 19
marathon
year-old.
Against an 18 or 19-year-old kid coming out of. I mean, it's things. We said this, I think, the last time I was on. A high school senior right now is trying to find a place to land out of college. It's so much harder now.
Oh yeah,
rosters are smaller. There are fewer positions available. The transfer portal makes it's a lot more appealing to just find a 22-year-old kid looking to transfer than it is to develop an 18-year-old.
Sure.
So all of these things, this is where this has been going for a while. Mm-hmm. I do think if there's one thing that could be reined in that what I think would bring some competitive balance would be the age thing.
Yeah, Dave. I think the only issue that I had with Ed Eystone was that he brought a specific country into it, or a specific region. We've had Irish foreigners or foreigners from other countries forever, and nobody cared. So
I think he said, I think he tried to couch it in the fact that he is recruiting a Kenyan kid that was in, United States Kenyan, and and I think he used Kenyan as the example because that's kind of just been the vernacular around American distance running forever. Even if they're Ethiopian, if they're not, we call them all Kenyan. It's just kind of how it's been just kind of the way that we've discussed things as Americans opposed to distance running. We're, instead of just saying Africans, we say Kenyan. And I understand if you're not looking too deep in it, you understand the lingo of what he's saying.
But my whole thing is, there's been foreigners from so many other countries. I don't like that part of it. But I do think that it's something that is a problem. I mean, when you only have 5 American-born runners in the top 30, but I didn't even think about what Chris said, but I think that's spot on. Age. The fact that people are 25, 26,
28, man, they're old
is more interesting. And the fact that when are we just going to accept that the NCAA is now a professional league?
It is.
It is not amateur anymore in anyway with the NIL. Like it's becoming a professional league, and it's almost like teams are like it's almost like they have drafts and they're like drafting kids from here and there. It's interesting. I don't know what the answer is or how to stop it, but it's definitely something that I noticed right away.
It's been this way for a little with some schools, right? Because we've had Coach Ricardo Santos on the show. He's doing a fantastic job over at Stanford, but for a long time, he was the Iona head coach, and he had a really, really good um, pipeline over to Europe, and there were so many Europeans on his team that were bringing some amazing results for Iona. How many years? Was it 2 years in a row? They were national runner-up in XC. They were a really good group. They still kick the crap out of everyone in the MAC. They're very deep. So it's something where some schools forever have had that peg, right? Where international athletes went to those schools. A lot of the Ivy Leagues will get a lot of these athletes too and things like that. So it's been that way. The
It's
NIL
just way more prominent now. It's way
it
more
is more prominent. So I agree with you, Tafelski, that putting an age cap would be massive. And I think pre-show, Dave, you kind of mentioned like how old do they have to be coming in as a freshman, right? Like how old should they be? And I'm gonna bring up this comment because of the missions and things like that. And you mentioned, Coach, another individual talking about this. We'll bring it up in a second. I also think a way to fix, because I think one of the big things we talked about is, like Tafelski said, this young 18-year-old American is getting pushed out because no one wants to take a freshman anymore. It takes a lot more resources to develop a freshman than it does to transfer in a grown man or woman who understands how to train, how to do nutrition, how to sleep, all those types of things. So I think we got to get a combination of things. I think age limit will be good for incoming freshmen. I think 20 years old, shouldn't be older than 20, maybe 22 at the most, right? And I also think that there should be a cap of how many teams can transfer. You have to take a certain number of freshmen. There has to be, we maybe have to do slotted freshman scholarships. You can't just make your whole team transfers, because I think that would also bring a very competitive balance, right? Because now coaches would have to also develop these kids and they can't just transfer everyone in. So
yeah,
that would be me.
It's such an interesting thing. I just don't know.
But here's the thing. Nobody cares about, we make a big stink out of it, right? But I think this is the transfer problem, I think, is universal in all sports. And I think they're going to look at that. The age thing is different. I think we are unique with that in a lot of ways, because football's not doing that. You're not getting a 28-year-old football player unless it's Blake Bortles, and nobody's mad at Blake Bortles. But there's other sports where you're not really getting that difference. Like baseball, collegiate baseball is not a pipeline as much to the MLB as is just going around internationally, right? Basketball, you don't really do that. So I don't know if we're going to get as much of a solution because we're not a money bringer in cross country and track and field. We don't bring in that much money. So there's not that much incentive for schools and ADs to make this an issue at the NCAA level. And on top of that, I think this is a really unique issue to running, because we have had all those times with these great runners from different countries that could do things young and then enroll in our system. So I don't know what the answer is going to be, and I don't know if we're ever going to get that satisfactory answer. So anyone else have anything? I'll get the comments if not.
I think the NCAA needs to figure out what they stand for.
Money. That's it. Making money.
When it comes down to it, like what are we? What are we doing? What's our mission? Is this, I think the NCAA has lost their way, and they need to figure out, what they want to be. And if it's going to be pro, then okay, then call it that. Don't use this word amateur anymore.
And don't make these kids go to class then either. No student athlete, they don't have a class requirement, because then that if you're paying them, then what the hell do they have to go to class for? To be quite honest, they're pros,
so
right?
Right now, the hard part for me is like there's what you say you are, and then there's what your behavior and your decisions indicate that you are. And now, the NCAA is just all over the place, and they got to get their shit together.
I agree with that. So a few comments here. RS-05E, I like that name, coming in saying Fleet Feet and Books decide the golden tickets, and they are free to choose the 20 total performers that they feel meet their criteria. Is 10 more kids on the starting line than Foot Locker was. That's fine. I get it. Listen, they're free to choose who it is, but I'm also free to tell them they're wrong and they made a mistake. Because they did. They were wrong. Leah deserves a spot in the golden ticket. And you're not going to change, especially a 17-15 at Homedale deserves a spot on any national line, period. And that's not even into question if you've ever been to Homedale. RS-05E again, coming here. BYU, though, has older kids for years after Mission still competing. All sports have gotten older. And I do question that. All sports haven't gotten older. That's not true. Basketball still has a ton of one and done. They force kids to stay freshman year. If not, they'd be gone. We see a lot of people coming out there. Football, the older you are, the more damaged good you are at a lot of your positions, right? They want your kids, your stars are coming out after sophomore year once they hit that requirement of 2 years. So BYU is a different one. But again, Coach Tafelski, who did you say brought that up about competing on Saturdays and stuff like that?
I think that was Rita Gary. Yeah, it was Rita Gary. She coached at Furman. And she raised that. I've seen a lot of people, criticizing Ed Eyestone of all people, for raising this issue, given the age thing with the mission trips and such. And, I think, Rita said, cap it at age 25 or whatever. And somebody raised, well, what does that do for the Mormon mission and so forth? And she responded with, well, Seventh-day Adventists, they can't compete on Saturdays, and we still compete on Saturdays. Like we don't accommodate every faith.
You can't accommodate everybody.
No.
So like, okay, I mean, like, I don't know like exactly where I land on those details, but like in principle, like I do think that making it the age, I think that's, if you're going to bring this back, that's not going to change the number of international athletes on your roster. If that's a length that people want to go to, like, okay, but there have been teams that have been doing that for a long time.
Might make it more
when we were
fair.
in college, Providence was exceptional, and they all these Irish guys on the team, and we just knew that's the way it was.
Speaking of the Irish guys,
with Villanova, you had
sure
Ian Coughlin, Marcus Sullivan, Sonia Sullivan.
Let's bring in Nick Willis over here in his comment. You brought this up earlier when we were talking, Chris. Obviously, an amazing runner. All of us are fans of Nick over here. He said, as a foreigner who ran in the NCAA, I'm still not in favor of teams recruiting internationals via middlemen recruiting agencies and athletes who are over 20 as freshmen. And I think that is fair. But again, like Chris said, what the hell is the NCAA at this point? Because if it's just a business and now we're paying our athletes, they're not amateur at all anymore. They don't care about college. They're really not. That's not a big deal to them. Your stars don't go. Charles Barkley didn't go. Shaq sure as hell didn't go. These guys don't go to school anyway. If it's just a business, if we want our athletes to be paid, then why can't these professional organizations who pay their athletes, pay their coaches in the millions, use middlemen to go and get the best talent? Because we're pros now. Like
but that's the thing. Is like, what are we? Like, what is the NCAA? Like, if
it's a pro league, there's no way it's not a pro league anymore.
But that's not what they're saying. That's not the message that they're trying to portray.
Agreed. So listen. A major group being a bunch of hypocrites is a surprise, right? Like, I'm not color me surprised that they're hypocrites,
right?
That they're raking in the dough while going, we care. Like, I mean, we know that that's not the case. I mean, we're all
doesn't seem to be
people here. So, I mean, it's the thing. We have a few more comments coming through here. I appreciate them. Our friend RS over here. Auburn men's basketball average age is 23.2 years old. Last year is 21.6. All right, we're taking the one. That's fine. And that happens. The ages fluctuate. They're obviously bringing in more seniors. But then again, is Auburn that good of a team? They're a good team. They're going to make the tournament. Who's picking Auburn to win it, right? Your best teams are still having your 19, 20-year-old phenoms who are rentals for a few years. It's still Duke. It's still your top teams doing that. Auburn's depth is going to make them a fun Sweet 16 team.
Yep.
Good for them. It's going to be nice for them to hang that banner. Nobody is picking Auburn to win a national championship. And also coming back and saying, over the year average in the NCAA men's basketball has increased. 2019 average of Sweet 16 was 20.8. 2021 Sweet 16 was 21.2. So
oh, 4 months.
Now listen, that is a difference. And I'll give it to him. There is that minor bump, right? And maybe that is that some teams are looking at more of the Villanova method, where Coach Wright had guys that would stay and develop for 4 years and have become, a lot of them have become very good pros, right? So maybe there's some athletes that are seeing value in that and coaches. But listen, RS, this is going to even out, okay? Because I think the NCAA and NBA are, I think the whole entire one and done is about to be up. And I think they already renegotiated coming out of high school again. So that age barrier is going to drop way down again. It's not, or it might go up because there's less kids, but it's the thing is, those fractional differences are very different than what we're talking about here in track and field, where it's a 28-year-old versus a 19-year-old. It's a massive difference. And a person who has competed for their country at an international level and possibly won a medal 2 cycles in Worlds and Olympics and are now entering college at the age of 26. It is a massive difference than a kid that got in there at 18, staying till they're 24 or 20, 22, and using an extra year of eligibility till 23. There is very huge differences in terms of the age difference there. I understand what you're saying, RS, but I think it's apples and oranges. Chris, Dave, you guys have anything to chime in terms of the difference in ages there?
I don't know enough about those stats. I would have guessed that it would have been the opposite way, but yeah, it's differently. We are getting grown men who are accomplished competing against young kids. I don't know. It's an interesting topic. I just don't know. I'm certainly not equipped enough to have any sort of answer for it.
I think Willis's tweet, and I had read some other things about that too before I saw it, about that there are like headhunting companies that are being retained by these teams to go out and identify these international athletes and bring them in. That doesn't sit right with me. The fact that he brought that up clearly, that like if this is what you're doing, like if these are the lengths that you're going to, if this is what it takes to win, this is like not the norm, to like deliberately look outside of the US at people who already have this extensive professional resume and bring them into the NCAA. Yeah, you may not be violating the letter of the rule, but you're sure as hell violating the spirit of the rule. And so like, maybe you take Dave Smith's, comment at face value and say, all right, then get together and change the rule, which is what Rita Gary said. Like, okay, I am putting forth a rule change.
Yeah.
And I think
that's a fair way to do it.
Will back me.
I also think, having the NIL will keep kids in school longer.
I do agree with that.
They can make money in school, so they're going to stay that extra year or two, because there's not as much of an incentive to leave early. So I think in other sports where going pro is much more of an option, I don't know.
I do think we see this issue with the NIL and other sports, though, because look at Dave Portnoy at Barstool, a billionaire, who is openly saying, I will pay the top quarterback every year at high school to come to Michigan, right? Because he's a massive Michigan fan, and that's open, right? And there's nothing against that type of quote unquote tampering. There's no tampering period that they can do or things like that. Or on top of that, we see that this school is getting this athlete because they guaranteed them an NIL, where my understanding of the NIL originally was the athlete gets an agent and that agent goes and seeks a deal while that kid is enrolled in the school, right? That's always my concept. They can make money off their name, image, and likeness. They get the agent goes and finds that deal for them. Not X school is guaranteeing. Now offering,
like, NILs over scholarships?
They're basically contracts at this point, because there's that Maya Villela kid that went to UCLA as a quarterback, and you'll hear it announced this way, that this school guarantees this NIL to this athlete to come there. And it's like, what's the difference between a contract and it's a contract? You're giving a kid a contract to come to your school. And I think that's what we're seeing with these international headhunting groups, right? They're basically contracting these kids with guaranteed NILs to come and compete for these schools. So, I mean, we can call it what it is. NCAA is not amateur at all anymore. It is a pro system, but it's a pro of haves and have-nots, because you have your haves on the top and then everyone else. It's a microcosm of what pro running is. Very few have, everyone else is trying to get. Yeah. And that's all it is. So, I mean, is there a true answer to this? No. Are any of us ever going to be satisfied by this? No. And I think it's only going to get bigger and bigger as more money gets tossed around.
Sure.
So, and it's going to be harder for coaches like Chris over here to go and tell a kid who's beasting in New York and New Jersey to, as an 18, to go, you know that big NCAA school you thought you were going to get into? Well, probably can't, because they look at Irish kids and they look at African kids and they look at everywhere else, and they're not really recruiting 18-year-olds. So let's go to these schools instead. And it's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher on you because, Chris, I know also the work that you do trying to get your athletes that want to go and run at the next level to help them there. So everything just gets tougher. And speak to that a little. As you're trying to help your athletes potentially get looks at other schools, how difficult has these types of things made it on you in terms of trying to set your kids' expectations as well?
Well, the expectations have shifted for sure. That's a thing. But like, there are opportunities there. I guess the alarming thing is that there's a handful of schools that are really actively doing this right now.
Yes.
Will it, like, where does this end? Like, is this something that coaches who don't want to do this will reluctantly do because that's what it takes to be competitive in your conference or in the NCAA? Like, sooner or later, is it just going to bleed, right? In that regard, it's not all that different from, like, the reluctant PED user who feels like their only way to stay competitive is to do something that they don't want to do. So,
man, if I was guaranteed 10 million, if I took steroids once, absolutely, I'm taking steroids once, and I'm going to get that 10 million and take care of my family. I think most people would.
But there are people out there who would not. Like, this reminds me of, I don't know, this.
RS, thank you. You stole the question right from me right there. I appreciate that, RS. We're on the same brainwaves, brother. Good, thank you.
No, but I mean, this reminds me of the movie Blue Chips, where, like, Nick Nolte he didn't want to cheat, but he got forced to cheat because he couldn't compete anymore without getting all of these other recruits in and paying them. That might be a terrible analogy for any high school kid.
No, I get it. It makes sense. It's true.
But, like, I mean, like, I think if you want to win, if winning matters, you're going to have to follow suit. If you want to run your program, have you always run it and understand that you might not have a chance to actually win, then you probably won't. I don't know. I mean, because I don't see it getting less. I mean, it's successful. Like, you're going to win, or you're going to be a top team if you do this. So I think it depends on, every coach has their point of what is acceptable to them as a human being and what is not. Sometimes winning means everything. Sometimes culture and doing the right thing. I mean, not the right thing. I'm not saying this is the wrong thing. It's not illegal, but I think it depends on each coach. But I think if you want to compete at that level, you're going to have to do something.
I think we got to look into having Ryan Searle back on from the Preferred Recruit and just see what he's seen from his side, because he does really good work in terms of trying to get athletes noticed too, and he sees the trends and everything like that. So go ahead, Chris. Sorry, I cut you off.
Well, I mean, I think it just comes down to, like, whether you win and also, like, how you win. Like, does that matter to you? Like, how you win? Like, so, and this is, and coaches are in a bind. They're in a bind from their athletic directors who expect 100%. Results. There's a lot of pressures coming from a lot of different angles. And so, like, this comes down to the philosophy of the NCAA, but also the school, the leadership of the school, the coaches, the philosophy of the program. Like, so, like, what kind of program do you want to run? And, like, maybe winning isn't in the cards if you want to run your program a certain way. Yep. That's what you sign on for. And if your leadership is on board with that, then go for it. But if your leadership's not, right, then you either move on or change.
So here's a question to you, Chris, that popped into my head. If this does trickle down, if this does get to a point where most of your schools are now starting to do it, they're running the rat race, they're hiring these headhunting groups, and now it's fully blown open. Right now, track and field is the most participated sport in the country. I think I just saw something on that. There's a ridiculous amount of kids that do it.
In high school, yes.
In high school. Do you think this would hurt that? Do you think kids would look at it and go, what the hell am I going to do that in high school for if there's no future for me at the collegiate level? If I'm good, if I can go out and run a 151, but I can't get to a pretty damn good school because I want to continue running and stuff like that. do you think this would hurt that high school participation where if they're a good soccer player, I'm going to go keep playing soccer because there might be a better future for me there? Like, do you think this would hurt if this continues to trickle down within the next 5-10 years long term?
No, because I don't think most kids, from my experience, I don't think most kids who take up the sport are that externally motivated. I think most kids who take up the sport, they take up the sport because they enjoy the thrill of developing. They enjoy what it feels like to improve yourself and make yourself better. They enjoy being a part of a team.
Yeah.
For the tiny fraction that might be able to pursue the sport at the next level, right now, from my perspective, I view the transfer portal as a bigger problem for the rising high school or college freshmen than
100%.
the international issue. I think the transfer portal, if you're looking for that one more kid to round out your top 7, you're more likely to find it in the transfer portal than a true freshman. So
Yeah.
I see that as being more problematic. So, like, as this evolves over the next couple of years, I think, the roster limits are also a big problem.
Huge.
Yep.
With all these teams shrinking,
Compound all of it.
there
it
are
makes it hard.
are fewer opportunities
I'll tell
available
you,
for rising college freshmen.
I'll tell you who I think loves this is your D2 and your D3 coaches and your NAI coaches, because they're going to have so many more higher quality kids falling to them. And I think we're going to see some of these younger coaches who are at these small programs really make a big name for themselves, because they're going to start to get talent that they maybe not have been able to get earlier. And I think some D2 schools and D3 schools might become a bigger place where kids might actually want to go. I don't know.
I think
And
like,
JUCO.
yes,
JUCO
Dave, I agree. I also think that a really common trap among high school kids right now is the automatic assumption that a D1 school is better than a
100%.
D3 school.
Oh my God, 100%. Like, they don't really.
Yeah.
You go to meets, they're not separated by divisions. You're running against everyone. Like, you have an equal opportunity. This is a sport where you have an opportunity where you can run against the top level kids and be at a smaller school. There's so many amazing coaches out there who just haven't had the chance to get great talent, who I think we're going to see the whole new influx of high-end coaches that are going to be coming from D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO. That's what I think. So in that sense, I think it can be good to kind of have more of a wider participation throughout all of college. But we're going to see, because I think your high school kids are going to be forced, because we're going to have all these foreigners coming in. But I don't know.
I think they might use that as a transfer portal too. Go to some of these D2s, go run well, and then they can transfer into the bigger schools if they still run well.
Sure.
And the JUCOs, especially, because the
Sure.
JUCOs specialize at
1 or
take
2
2
years.
years, get ready, and then we had Coach Philip Redrick on the
Perfect.
show, who awesome is now at the D1 level, but he specialized in getting young men and women who weren't ready to go and run at the big level. Go to JUCO for 2 years. He had a lot of great connections to major programs, and he would just send them there afterwards. So
you're going to have kids running like 410, 412 who can't get into any Big Ten schools, so they're all going to be going to D2 and D3 schools.
It'll raise the level of those divisions.
It will.
And I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to see. So, all right. So, Tafelski, Coach, we have you for a little bit more. We good to have you for a little more. Are you ready to run away from us yet? I know it's a school day.
I'm good to go.
I know
It's
Dave likes to
short
go to
week,
sleep
man. I'm
already.
good.
All right, so
Agreed.
let's get to the last thing real quick, because there was some controversy over at the NCAA championships. The hay bales were a big source of pictures you saw. A lot of athletes were cutting the course. Now, by how much were they cutting? It looked like it could have been enough, but there was a lot of athletes cutting the course. Now, we've all done XC before. Everyone runs the course beforehand. You warm up on it.
But you always told take the shortest line.
Everyone knows what the course is supposed to be. Most of the time, in these areas that I've always seen, they usually have an official spotted up or two on these spots where there could be potential issues, right? They try to do it at these bigger meets, but there weren't. And an athlete took liberties, and then a horde followed him. So, what do we think? Should these athletes that cut the course have been DQ'd? Have we ever seen anything of this? I know we've seen some pretty bad cheating, right? But to this magnitude where such a big group did it, what do you do if you're the NCAA here?
I think if you see the first person go and nothing happens to two of them, why the hell would you not follow suit? I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it was worse because they had these big, huge hay bales there. Like if there were no hay bales, I could see like it was a big turn, so you just kind of cut.
But obviously, the hay bales were meant to signify where you weren't supposed to go. Like, so, that was the part of the course.
I mean, I understand why the other people went, but I don't know why. I mean, it was clearly marked, and nothing happened. So I don't know what the answer is.
It is I mean, if you get DQ'd in a track race, you don't find out instantly. Like you get you find out you got DQ'd after the race is over. Yep. So like, if you're following someone else who clearly steps out of bounds, it's a solid painted line. The hay bales are there. If you follow someone who does, you're taking a huge risk.
Agreed.
So it doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
I think for people. We had a watch party, and my kids, we're watching it on the screen with the projector, right? And we got like 40 kids in the room, and we're watching the race, and they're watching this happen, and they're like, kids are calling it out.
It was on the live feed too. Like they couldn't hide it. It was the overhead was a perfect shot of it happening.
Yeah. So like, there's no, and the kids were annoyed. I mean, I kind of disregarded it at the time because I was like, yeah, but you know what, like. The grass there is so tall. Like, I don't know if it's actually any faster to like run this like weird tangent and step over a hay bale and run through this tall grass. But then the kids were like, you know what though? Like when I run an NXR there's flagging on both sides and I get stuck. And I don't have the option to like step over the line.
Yeah. If you run a bad strategy, you don't get out.
That's part of XC, getting stuck in that path.
100%.
You consider like, I think Cole Hocker would like a word on this, or Robbie Andrews have been DQ'd from big track races for stepping over the rail. So like, okay, like track and cross are not the same thing, but the course is clearly marked. And like on most courses that are really, really big, you've got the flagging on both sides.
Yes.
You know, I've argued with the NJSIA that they need to put more flagging up at Homedale for the group meet, the MOC, to keep the spectators back. But like if you have that demarcation,
what's the point of having it?
Why are you doing it?
I mean,
like, what's the point of doing all that?
It was also
blatant, and then they all followed suit. I was like, I mean, but like, as an athlete, are like. Because it's so competitive. You're like, well, if he's going shorter on it, like, do you think that that's just like instinct? Like you just,
I wouldn't have done it. I know who I am.
I would not have either. I would have been too afraid to.
So here's the thing too.
I would have been too afraid to.
I wouldn't have wanted to take that chance, especially at that national meet. Sure. And I guess it depends if I'm there as an individual, if I'm there as a team, right? I think there's a difference there. If I'm there as a team, I don't want to screw up any chance. If I get DQ'd, that now then goes to the next person behind me. Like that could really screw up our score, right? So there's that factor. Maybe if I'm an individual, I'm like, screw it. I'm in. Let's go. Like, but the thing is too, it's like the guys that did it, you'd only be hurting the depth of your team. It's not like Hampton Samuel and the top guys did it. Like the ones that were going for the win. So I think there's like, I don't see what the hell the point was. Like DQ them all. DQ them all. You know who they are. We can figure out who they are right away. You see it all there. Every single one of them should be DQ'd because there also needs to be a lesson learned, right? Because if it happens here and nobody gets anything done to you, why would if it happens again and then they get DQ'd, they're going to look and go, what the hell? That was on live stream that it happened. And now I get DQ'd. What are we doing here?
So then it's up to the NCAA to issue a statement that says, like, going forward,
at least acknowledge it. They're not even acknowledging it.
Well, I mean, it's only been a couple of days, and maybe they're trying to figure out what they believe in, and, but like,
did this make us money or not? That's all. Are we being memed?
Are we getting more?
Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Keep it going. We're not going to say anything.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I'm not them. I'm never going to be them. So it's easy for me to say, but like clearly, like this is not something that should be happening.
No,
Because
no,
are you running any faster? You're not
like
running in
not.
traffic. The advantage
No.
is that you're not running in traffic. The
Right.
Yeah.
one guy who tripped over the hay bale, like my kids cheered for that. They were like, "That's what you get. That's what you get."
Listen,
And-
part of a race is being in bad positions and getting yourself out of it. Like this,
Correct.
they just eliminated
Correct.
that whole aspect. They're like, oh,
Right.
I can't get by them. I'm just going to go over
And
here.
they just didn't want to take the elbow. They were the wusses, okay? Because everyone knows in that pack around there, you can't see it too well, but when you're in there, there is a lot of rubbing and little shoves going on in those packs. And
Right.
like you said, there's that freedom is the reason, right? I don't want to get shoved. I want clear ahead of me. I just want it. But I mean, as the competitor, I understand why your guys were like, screw all these kids.
Yeah.
We're all competitors. We all do the right thing. Like, I mean, it's just stupid. And it's immaturity. I think a lot of it's immaturity on their part because you're being live streamed. It's not like you're at some small meet. This is the NCAA championships.
And probably most of those guys are not used to being behind. They probably all won most of the races that they've been in all year. So they're like, so they might have freaked out. I mean, I don't know, but and then said, I'm going to go here. Who knows? But it was, I mean, it was blatant. It was beyond blatant.
So, gentlemen, as a coach, if you see this on the live stream, what are you doing the moment they get across the line? Are you looking at them and like, guys, what are we doing here? Like, are you pissed at your guys for doing something like that? Especially the one that got hit by the hay bale and didn't make it over. Are you making fun of him forever?
It would certainly be a discussion. But again, like those guys are doing it. They're 28 years old. like they shouldn't. They're not like a high school sophomore who makes a mistake. Like these are grown men, you know.
Yeah.
So like, do you really need to have those conversations with grown men? I mean,
I
guess so.
You do. They're your.
But I mean,
you set a standard.
I think in high school it's way different. But honestly, I don't think you get away with that in the NJSIA meet, let alone an NCAA meet.
So what do you do, Chris Tafelski? If you see these are your athletes, a few of them that do it, or one of them, what are you saying to that athlete at the end?
I think you said what we said before. Like, is that move worth the risk and the consequences, the adverse consequences that it could have on the team? You need to think about more than just you. You're frustrated and you panic. Well, you got to regulate that and still do the right thing. I mean, it's not worth the risk to your team. Period.
Is there any discipline that comes
from that? If you're an individual and you're in the race and you're not there with your team and you do it, I guess the stakes are lower. But like, the sport has rules and the rules need to be enforced, and that's on the officials. If they don't have enough officials on site, they need to change that. If they don't set up the course the right way, they don't flag it, they need to change that. But like, once this will just become the norm if it goes unenforced. So, I don't know.
Maybe if they don't DQ,
to me like this is a pretty easy thing to address. I wouldn't go back to the results and DQ people.
No.
You can set up the course differently. You can staff the meet more effectively, so you have more officials on site or whatever you have to do. I mean, that seems to be like the obvious next step for this. If you care, and if you don't care, that's fine, and just let it rip and whatever.
Even John Anderson was like, I think they're cutting the course here.
I think if you care, I think the proper thing would be all those athletes are suspended from the indoor conference meet. Because you know that they're probably going to compete at their indoor conference meet if they're running at nationals.
I don't think they cannot go back now, though.
Why not? Why can't? Because here's the thing: in football, if there's an infraction that happens, even though the play's done, you suspend that athlete for the next game. Basketball, right?
Because everyone knew that it happened and they didn't do anything day of. I don't think that you can go back after the effect.
The NCAA could do whatever the hell they want.
Sure, they can.
I think.
I don't think it's that major of an infraction to warrant something like that.
I guess they didn't like elbow someone in the face. Like that would be different, but it would be action. So I don't know. They might encourage it. Get a UFC fight going on an NCAA course. That might be a good thing. I don't know if we want to see XC kids fighting though. It might not be that entertaining. Anyway, so outside of that, gentlemen, do we got anything else that we want to talk about? I think we're good. I enjoy these episodes where we just get to, talk about, hash out some track, have some fun, talk XC. And now the indoor season is friggin' barking down our necks. So Dave, how prepared are you right now for Manasquan Indoor?
I think we can have a nice solid team, and we're just building every year, and we're just putting in the work. We had our first tryout today, and then we're just gonna go just see where it takes us. I know it's hard because we're smaller school, so we don't have every event covered, but we are tough, and we're just gonna be ready.
Translation: Coach Hyatt's throwing down the gauntlet against Westfield, and they're coming for Westfield, and they're going to come and kick some Westfield ass. That's all I heard.
No.
Coach Tafelski's like, let's do it. That'll be fun.
I'm going to call Coach from OK State and then get some athletes in first, and then I'll go.
That's a great answer. All right, everyone. We appreciate everyone that watched wherever you watched from. Anyone that commented, thank you a bunch. Make sure that you go and keep track of what Coach Tafelski is doing over at Westfield. Obviously, we focus a lot on XC, but that is a complete track team there, and you guys are going to see it again, indoor and outdoor. They're a team that expects county conference sectional titles and things like that. So it's a ton of fun. Coach, you do great things over there. It's always fun watching, we're some of your biggest cheerleaders here. We love highlighting your, the accomplishments that you guys have, and keep rocking. You and your staff, your athletes do a fantastic job, representing Jersey and things like that. So we always appreciate you coming on, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Absolutely, always. And obviously Dave looking forward to Squan, me looking forward to just talking about running some more because I don't coach. So everyone, we appreciate wherever you watch from, YouTube, all that good stuff. Give us a like, share, follow, go find us on the socials, and we will be back again next week for some more fun. Dave, I have no idea who our guest is, but we'll be back next week. We'll be talking to somebody. So everyone, thank you so much. We will catch you next time. So long, y'all.